Welcome back once again to YCS Sydney 2019. We're here with a bonus second feature match for round two.
Yeah, there
How
was
good was that?
yeah, it was really good. We actually had some issues with starting, so the feature match actually started while the other players weren't able to start, and they finished quick enough so that we can actually get another feature on.
Oh, well, very exciting stuff. So what decks do we have this time? So we have Daniel Peck from Queensland versus Ken, who I'm not sure where he's from, but I'm sure he's from Australia. So we have Ken here playing Thunder Dragon strategy, much more standard than the one we saw in round one with Ryan Levine. So he has three of all of the main Thunder Dragon cards and a duo. And then he's also got Chaos Dragon, Legionnaire, and BLS as notable cards with Ash, Avela, and Ogre as hand traps.
We have Daniel Peck playing Dark Warrior, but he plays a heavy Goki lineup with 3 Super X, 2 Twist Cobra, and 1 of each Headbat, Octo Stretch, and Scorpio. He does play 45 cards, I believe. Yep, 45 cards. And yeah, we have Ken on the left and Daniel on the right.
Here we are rolling dice. So
I just
possibly, we only saw one dice roll, so we're not sure we actually won the roll yet, but we'll see on the play. So players are ready, and there we go.
think they've been
So I
practice.
think ideally Daniel's deck would like to go first, obviously, to resolve the number 86 Roman Gonyad combo.
Yeah, I believe that is their win condition to be able to summon a Ronga Miniad with five or more materials to be able to lock the opponent out of summoning for 2 turns at least.
Ooh, and Kenny has drawn a BLS straight out the gate, but Daniel is opening the play with a reinforcement of the army, and I don't believe I see a hand trap in Ken's hand, so things could get a bit rough.
From what I see, Ken's hand has Monster Reborn, a Thunder Dragon, 2 Hawks, I believe, and I cannot see the last card.
So Daniel adding Butter Spy. What's it? Photon Butter Spy? I believe it's his name.
That's a Black Luster Soldier as the 5th card.
We see a Junk Forward and Neo Space Connector, one of the new cards from the special edition for Soul Fusion, where it allows you to summon a Neospatian monster from the deck, notably the Neospatian Aqua Dolphin, which allows you to look at your opponent's hand by discarding a card, and they also destroy a monster in their hand if it has less attack than any monster on your field.
From that previous camera footage, we were able to see an instant fusion and a call by the grave in Daniel's hand. He's definitely prepared to take on hand trap.
So he's about to put a 5th monster on the field. Oh no, he's actually activating the Dolphin's effect by discarding the instant fusion.
This allows him to clear a card from Ken's hand with less attack than
So which
a
monster on the field has more attack than Thunder Dragon?
I'm not sure. I believe Daniel is explaining that because all of the monsters have more attack than the monsters he has, Daniel will lose 500 life points and nothing will be discarded.
So he's only probably picking a card just because he had to resolve the card correctly, I believe. So here we come. The Noble Knight is sold. Very powerful card in warrior decks. Allows him to on-summon add a warrior that he can't use the rest of the turn. But notably the second effect allows him to send equip spells to summon a monster with equal level to the equip spells you send. So he'll probably be looking at summoning the Twist Cobra here for the level 3 option, because the way this deck makes Roman Gonyad is by using the Bamboozle rank 3
Yes.
that equips itself to the warrior.
I can see here that Daniel plays 4 equipped spells, being Divine Sword Phoenix Blade, Different Dimension Reincarnation, Living Fossil, and Overdone Burial. This allows him to summon up to level 4, and he's chosen to summon a level 3, being Twist Cobra.
So you know his hand is Called by the Grave already, so even if Ken did have a hand trap, it may not have been useful at all.
Daniel has continued to make summon sorceries using the Twist Cobra and the Isolde, and has used Twist Cobra to add the Headbat, so his hand is now Headbat,
Scorpio and Called by the
Scorpio,
Grave.
that's the one.
And now he's getting the level 4 Goki from the deck, using the Summon Sork effect, and now he can summon the Headbat because he controls a Goki monster.
Linking those two away to make a Underclock Taker. I believe using Underclock Taker as a generic monster which can point sideways without using the utility of his Nightmare Phoenix.
It's also notably a Dark type monster, so it allows him to enter into the Phantom Knight Link monster as well, to access the other cards to complete the combo.
I believe that's what he's doing now.
So
Here comes the Phantom Knight of Rusty Bardiche. Its effect on Summoner lets him set 1 Phantom Knight card from his deck and send 1 Phantom Knight card from his deck to the graveyard.
that affects actually once per turn, not on summon.
Was it?
Essentially, I believe it is. Not 100% sure. We can look that up, but I think it actually is once per turn as well. So, very powerful card. Allows you to access a level 4 and a level 3 from your deck. And
Setting the Phantom Knight of Shade Ringadine, which summons itself as a level 4 monster, and he's also sent the Ancient Cloak, which banishes itself to add Silent Boots to hand.
so notably, Daniel added 2 copies of Goki Rematch when he searched off both of his Goki monsters. So it allows him to have a play next turn as well to be able to push. But we're going to see a overlay now for the Romanganya. I'm curious he didn't overlay with the connector as well, but maybe he wants to leave it on the field and then bring back the Dolphin to be able to take a card from his opponent's hand. Not sure.
I believe that's what he's doing, as he is banishing 2 warriors to add the Divine Sword Phoenix Blade to his hand.
There's a connector effect. So that card is a very new card, very powerful card. Gives you instant access to a warrior, like I said, and the Dolphin being able to see the opponent's hand.
And he'd already known he had 3,000. He has a Rongamini with 3,000 attack and a Phoenix Blade, which is a disposable card he can discard.
Phoenix Blade, also very powerful. Avoided the Forbidden and Limited list as when the Goki deck got hit the first time. So as we can see now, a 3 material, rank 3 Bamboozle. So this is potentially a 6 material Romangonya, which is very powerful.
Number 75, Bamboozling Gossip Shadow.
There it is, the correct name. Thank you very much to Yahweh.
Using its effect to attach itself and all its materials to one number monster on your side of the field.
I believe so, yes. Or a warrior. Is it number or a warrior?
I think it's a number monster.
But very powerful. But that's 6 materials on there, so Romangonya says 5+ in most translations.
Sorry.
So it's just probably reading here to make sure that with 6 material it still has the effect, which it does.
Yep.
So really unfortunate hand for Ken to deal with this.
Yeah, we saw Ken. Look, he's definitely not pleased with the situation. He's thinking about what he can do, knowing that he does not have access to normal summon and social summoning, and that Rongo Miniad can potentially destroy any card he has on the field.
So very strong opening for Daniel. He'd be very happy with that opening. And I think Ken has decided to concede, as there's not much he can do.
One thing I did notice is that everyone who's been sitting on the right side has just been doing really well.
Yeah,
we see Ken pack it up.
A big tip, if you're going to be on the feature match, make sure you sit in that table because so far it has looked very good. But obviously there's 2 more games to go, so Ken has a good chance to come back into this. He'll also get to choose if he's first or second next game as well, which is really good for the Thunder Dragon deck.
From what I understand, the Goki version of the Rongamini deck is a lot weaker to Thunder Dragon because it uses the Gokis to search, which they cannot do on the Colossus. So it's interesting to see what Daniel will do to combat this, whereas the normal version of Dark Warrior, which is more heavily fixated on dark monsters, doesn't.
So what cards in Daniel's side deck would he like to side then, assuming he's going second against Thunder Dragon next game?
He has a Beast Dweller, which is really interesting, along with Borrelo Dragon in his side deck. He has 2 extra deck cards in his side deck. Dweller doesn't really do anything to Thunder Dragons, right?
It potentially turns off the field effects when they link with a Roar and stuff like that. But overall, it's not the best card, but Borrelo Dragon definitely, I believe, will be coming in.
There's a Shadow Dragon, which is really interesting as a send-off Armageddonite to be able to hit back row, which is not something that Thunder Dragons use. There's Artifact Lancia, which has been seen to be used against Thunder Dragons, as a lot of their effects are required to be banished. It turns off Blackluster Soldier, turns off the Chaos Dragon Legionnaire, it turns off Thunder Dragon Duo.
And Gold Sark as well, the ability to be able to banish straight away. So training Lancia to a Gold Sark is very powerful against Thunder Dragon.
Yeah, there's Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, but it doesn't look like there's any Thunder Dragon cards in his extra or his side deck to be able to banish. There's Evenly Matched, which I think will come in because it will be able to clear a field of multiple Thunder Dragon, Colossus, and Titans.
And trying to deal with 1 Colossus rather than 3 or 2 is much easier, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. And there's a Red Reboot, which I don't see will be coming in.
I would not assume so. Something very interesting I've noticed in Daniel's extra deck, though, is there is a Bryanak of the Dragon deck over the Ice Barrier in there.
Yeah, I believe that that's used to be able to clear multiple Dragon fusions as well, as they do have protection from being destroyed. So by being able to return them to the extra deck, it bypasses that.
So interesting to see here. So Ken, I think, may have just put an Imperial Order from his side deck, I just saw then. So what other options does he have, do you think, for going first?
Going first, he has Shared Right. He could use that because the Gokis do search a lot. He could use it to draw into other cards he may need, into potential Ash Blossoms, Ghost Ogres.
Interesting there's only 1 Shared Ride in his side deck, but he probably just ran out of space or just didn't think he needed more than 1.
I think one really advanced play people have been doing these days is siding Red Reboot against these Dark Warrior decks, because being able to hit the Phantom Knight of Shade, bring it in, removes 1 level 4 that they have access to, be able to summon Rongaminiad.
Most of the standard combos with Rongaminiad resolve around that a lot, getting that level 4. The
really
only way I see them going through is if they draw Soul Charge potentially in Monster Reborn to get the level 4 back.
Yes, it really does, and I'm not sure if Ken has learnt that strategy or if he thinks that's a strategy viable enough for him to try and use.
Hopefully he does.
Yeah.
Going first as well, he probably wouldn't need to rely on that as much. But maybe when he goes second, he might be able to decide that.
On top of that, Red Reboot doesn't get discarded by Aqua Dolphin, but at the same time, if they Aqua Dolphin you, they'll see the Red Reboot, and they might not use the Shade Ringadine play.
There's a potentially that they might go for more of a Gumblar Dragon play, perhaps, and maybe try to take more cards out of their opponent's hand. So Ken going first. I can definitely see a Matrix and a Thunder Dragon Roar. And I think it's a normal combo of Thunder Dragon and a Dragon Dark, I believe, or a Hawk.
I cannot see
Very
it.
Thunder Dragon dominated hand, that is for sure. So he's normal summoning the Matrix,
The deck does
And
like to see a
then-
fair amount of spells, though.
of course. So seeing a lot of monsters in hand is probably not ideal, but he's still going to activate the Dragon Dark, which, again, the other effect of Dragon Darks are the more popular one where you get to summon, so you get to search any Thunder Dragon card from your deck to your hand, but he's probably just using the effect now to be able to turn that Matrix into a Colossus.
I've noticed that when Ken was going through his main deck, he did side in Droll and Lockbirds and Denko Sek, which is really interesting. Against this Dark Warrior deck, Denko Sek does stop Daniel from setting the Shade Ringadine.
There's a chance that they'll probably try to make some sort of unicorn play, but it does make him go out of his way to
Yeah.
make that play, though. So that could actually interrupt him doing the full combo.
Does give them hurdles they have to jump over. He's got his first Colossus down.
So he's adding off the Matrix. He's seems to be fixing his deck over there, as some of the cards have come upside down, possibly from siding, and putting the cards in the wrong way by accident.
Yeah.
So once
There's-
he quickly finishes that up.
There's also a Vec Veiler.
Yeah, I noticed that in his main deck before. He's got Effect Veiler, Ash Blossom, and Ghost Ogre. So a lot of different hand traps, all played at 2. So probably more chance to draw multiples of them rather than drawing multiples of 1, since most of them are once per turn these days.
Yeah, I believe he wants to see like some in different situations, which lets him play 2, and maybe he wants to play more. Ooh.
And hand traps like Ghost Ogre are really good when they're paired with another hand trap. So drawing that with another one rather than a second Ghost Ogre is also advantageous.
Actually, I noticed that Ken already mains a Denko Sekka, so perhaps that Denko Sekka is the one he mained. He didn't side any more in.
So interesting hand, like I said, monster dominated. He may potentially want to banish the Thunder Dragon Roar from his hand with this Colossus to gain more cards on the field. He's just having a quick think now.
I think with
So he's activating the Thunder Dragon.
each of his cards having multiple effects, I think he does want to think about what lines of play he wants to make. Decision trees might like be limitless, so to speak.
Did he have a Dragon Hawk in hand by any chance?
Not that I can see.
So he's added 2 copies of Thunder Dragon rather than just the 1, and then he'll pass. So he has a lot of cards for next turn, possibly 6 in hand. So Daniel will be looking to try and deal with just 1 Colossus this time around. So hard to see from Daniel's hand what he has, but he's starting with a junk forward. I can see at least 2 equip spells in his hand, which isn't
3
3 equip
equip
spells in his hand.
The
That's-
Twist Cobra
That's
and
not
another monster.
that's not the ideal way to open a hand in Goku Warrior, don't you think?
Fortunately, Daniel does play a level 1 Goki, so he can still use Isolde's effect.
Unfortunately, he won't be able to trigger the Triss Cobra's effect here, though. Or the Assault's first effect to be able to search any cards because of the Colossus on the field. But he is going to send 1 material.
To be able to summon that Octostretch, being level 1, I believe.
Now, with the current board set, do you think it's easier for Dan to just make a Nightmare Unicorn to deal with this? Or do you think he may have tried to find a way to get another level 4, another monster to make a Boral or Low Dragon to take the Colossus?
He does have 2 options. I think he's going to take some time to assess which is better. Oh, he's going straight for the Link 3 play.
He definitely must have a plan then, going into this, what he was going to do. So he's decided to go with the Nightmare Unicorn, potentially discarding the Phoenix Blade.
Card that he can recur back, so it does mitigate the discard cost of Unicorn.
And he can also banish 2 warriors to add it back to hand. Or it's a Malicious in his hand that he's
Wow.
discarded. So that's very powerful.
Yeah. It was unfortunate Ken wasn't able to get to the Effect Veiler, which he does play to stop these kinds of effects. Now Daniel will be free to search off his Octostretch? No, he can't.
I think he's just summoning off
Oh,
Malicious here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. You can't use
Um,
Octostretch. It would be in the same
He
chain.
potentially may equip the Phoenix Blade to the Malicious to link it off. And then when the monster's in the graveyard, he can also use DDR to bring back the other Malicious if he feels like it.
Activate Living Fossil. Be able to summon a level 4 or lower, right?
So the upside to a lot of these equip spells that he plays are they're also technically extenders.
Yeah.
So he's able to summon back monsters with both Living Fossil and the Burial that he saw, and DDR can also bring back any banished cards, which now the Twist Cobra will be banished. So if he brings that back with DDR and links it, he can now then use the effect. So very well.
Executed by Daniel. Yeah. He's just taking some time to decide which avenue of play he wants to make. He's linking away. No.
Is Unicorn a dark type? Dark attribute?
Unicorn is dark.
So this could potentially be another Phantom Knight play here.
And maybe he's just going. He is indeed going for the Rusty Bardiche play. Again, it will set one Phantom Knight from his deck and send one to the graveyard at the same time.
So,
As you can see from Ken's face, he's not looking too happy about it.
so we're looking at this now. So Dan, do you reckon Dan could potentially push for game here?
Uh,
He decided to go for Fogblade instead of the
Fogblade.
Shade Brigadine.
Very
So
interesting. No, I'd assume that with Fogblade, he's not trying to push for game, but he's trying to be able to set himself up to be in a very favorable position.
So adding the Silent Boots, which he'll be able to special summon because he controls a Phantom Knight monster.
Yes, Phantom Knight of Rusty Bardiche is in fact a Phantom Knight monster. I often forget that.
So he's going to activate DDR, discarding that Phoenix Blade to bring back the Cobra, which he hasn't used because when it was sent to grave the first time, the Colossus was on the field.
And the second time it was banished.
And
He's
so
reading.
He's going to special summon the boots. He's going to attack instead.
He's getting some incremental damage in. He's identified that he does not need to immediately win this turn, but he just needs to set himself up to be in a very strong position for next turn.
Once he links off this Twist Cobra, he'll also be able to add rematch if he decides to. He's actually going for rank 3.
Oh, Bamboozling Gossip Shadow. That card does have an effect. It also has very high defense points. I believe it's like 2600. Has an effect where it can change a monster effect into Dark World dealings.
Yeah, it allows you to change the effect of a monster to both players draw one card.
Oh, isn't it draw one, discard?
No,
Okay.
it is just draw one card.
Wow.
I used to play it in a Trickster strategy where you deliberately do that and then you reincarnation draw them, which isn't really fair.
So Ken is just double checking. I don't think he's ever seen it used as that way.
So he's
now now he understands the strategy.
He's also got Bamboozle plus a Fogblade set. So you can see Dan decided that he couldn't win this turn. So he set up so he has much chance of interrupting his opponent's plays. So Ken has a lot of Thunder Dragon cards in hand, like we said. He's got 2 copies of Thunder Dragon, 1 copy of Thunder Dragon Dark, 1 or 2 copies of Matrix, lots of Thunder Dragon. So he's drawn. Was that BLS always in his hand? Or
Yeah,
did
he
just,
opened BLS.
So he's got Black Luster Soldier, which he's going to now summon.
He's going to open with Black Luster Soldier. Huge draw.
So lucky for Dan that he has the Fogblade set, but the Dragon Dark will actually resolve now. So Dan's going to negate that Dragon Dark by attaching 2 materials and making both players draw a card instead. And
He
that's
drew
another copy of Raw. So he has now 2 Raws, 2 Thunder Dragons, and
Matrix.
and a Thunder Dragon Dark that he added last turn.
Black Luster Soldier can attack twice if it destroys a monster and sends it to the graveyard, but the Fogblade will probably be able to use to stop that.
If Ken can manage to land another monster to threaten the Fogblade, he could potentially push that BLS effect through. So
Normal summons Matrix.
That's a super rare Matrix from the OTS packs.
Now he's using the effect of Thunder Dragon Raw to be able to summon the add Thunder
back.
Dragon back to his hand.
So now he has 3 copies of Thunder Dragon in his hand.
Yeah.
And he's going to use the Matrix to make a Colossus. I'm not sure if he has another target in his deck.
He does play 3 Dragon Matrixes.
But he has the other one in his hand, unfortunately.
Yes. One and one. Oh no, he does.
He does have it in his hand. It's the far left card, so hopefully he doesn't touch
Oh.
his deck here. Yeah, I think he just mentioned it that he had the third one in his hand.
Yeah.
So the Fogblade's going to negate the BLS.
He can no longer declare an attack.
Do you know how big the attack of the Phantom Knight Link is?
Not too
I
certain.
believe it's going to be weaker than Colossus, but looks like I think it's 24, 25. There's Bamboozle in Shadow Lord is obviously 2600, so it won't be
2600
destroyed.
defense.
So Dan has draw of a turn. I think he drew Call by the Grave potentially.
Bardiche has 2100 attack. I've just confirmed.
So Dan will be taking 500 life points from that encounter. Ken being on 41. So Dan's going to add back the Phoenix Blade.
It's always good to have an extra card in hand if you ever want to discard for
I
something.
believe he drew a Goki monster for turn, so he can now link that with the Bamboozle Shadow Ghoul, or
Bamboozling Gossip Shadow.
Gossip Shadow.
That's the one.
I'm not very good with that name of that card. And then potentially get a Goki rematch and be able to extend from there.
There is a Colossus on the field, so
Oh, so he can't search.
Yeah.
So maybe he's going for... Would he go for Cerberus to pop the BLS in case Ken finds a way to clear the Fogblade?
looks like he is. He's considering it, and he does summon Cerberus. discarding the Phoenix Blade to destroy the Blackluster Soldier.
Times like this, he probably wished he still had the Unicorn in his extra deck so he could then summon a Phantom Knight back off
Yeah.
the.
I think it's a calculated play, as Fogblade is allowed to be banished to summon a Phantom Knight from the graveyard.
Which does include the Phantom Knight link itself.
Yeah, unfortunately, that Phantom Knight link can't be used for a link summon.
Correct. Yes.
That part I know.
So he's probably thinking what to do here. He
Uh,
has.
Yes, we did have a round 2 feature match being Altergeist and ABC, but that finished soon enough that we could have another feature match.
So Daniel just weighing up his options now,
How
looking
many
at his grave.
Fogblades do Dark Warrior decks like Daniel's play? He plays one. I believe most decks only play one. Some may play two if they see necessary. Yes, this YCS mat is beautiful indeed.
So you should come to Australia if you would like your free participation YCS mat. So they're just talking to the judges now about something. Not sure. So Daniel probably still thinking about what he wants to do. So he's got the Cerberus on the field. Does he play Nightmare Mermaid?
I guess he does, in fact, play Nightmare Mermaid.
I'm not sure if there's any play he can do from there by adding back the Phoenix Blade.
It's always good to add it back. Oh, I think he's contemplating the Banishing Fogblade play.
Because he also has a way to make a link 4 here, actually. He could return the boots with...
Fogblade?
Actually, no, my play does not work. Because it would include the Fogblade banishing the boots when it leaves the field. Because he still has the trap in his deck.
Yeah. I think Daniel's on his back foot as well. And Ken might be able to play through off an interesting, awkward hand with many options.
Unfortunately, Daniel has also given him an extra deck zone by leaving that Cerberus on the field, but the Mermaid probably wasn't the best option anyway. So he's set 1, and Dan's set is, I believe, Call by the Grave.
Yep. Call by the Grave is able to banish a Thunder Dragon from his graveyard to stop the hand effects.
So Ken there trying to activate Thunder Dragon Dark, and then quickly didn't do that. So perhaps, yeah, they didn't want to, or doesn't have a target, I'm not sure. So instead he's going to activate the Dragon Matrix to boost his Colossus by 500.
Yep.
And just attack the Cerberus, I believe.
Yep. That will be... Wait, Thunder Dragon Colossus has a base
26. So it's 31, so 1,500 damage to Daniel, so it puts him down to 6,000.
Well, there is 18 minutes left on the clock, so there's ample time to play.
And if Daniel has a lot of good top decks, like if he draws anything like Soul Charge, Monster Reborn, Goki Rematch, he could get right back into this game.
And
So we see another Call by the Grave, unfortunately.
that's not
So
something...
he'll be setting that and passing turn.
I feel
And
like...
Ken draws another Thunder Dragon card in Thunder Dragon Hawk, which is actually the good one to draw right now. He could be able to trigger its effect to bring back a Thunder Dragon from the banished or graveyard.
there is Call by the Grave to be able to stop that.
Indeed. Quickly, as Yahweh said, the Call by the Grave will negate the Hawk.
I feel like in Daniel's strategy, I would look at my top deck for a little bit longer just to weigh my options and potentially bluff I have something. If you play really hasty, it might be able to give reads.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he just gave it pretty quickly that he didn't have anything to interrupt at all.
And if Ken knows this, he could capitalize on that. He drew
Yeah.
Re-Scorpio. That's definitely not something he wants to see right now.
He can summon it, but I don't know how much that'll help him. He's probably just going to concede, which he does.
He's acknowledging that he might need all the time he can get to be able to play out the game 3.
So, good comeback from Ken there. His hand was not the greatest, but a lot of Thunder Dragon cards means a lot of Thunder Dragon cards on the field as well. And unfortunately, Daniel just couldn't deal with the Colossus more than once, and the BLS obviously put a lot of pressure on to be able to let the Colossus avoid the Fogblade.
But he does get to start game 3 or choose to go second if he wants to. But being able to choose where you go, game 3 is it's very strong.
I would like to assume Daniel's deck would go first again. I'm not 100%, but I think dealing with Colossus going second isn't the easiest thing for the deck to do every time.
Yeah, fortunately for Ken, he does play a lot of hand traps to be able to...
Yeah, so
Stop
back to the side decks. So now that they're going the opposite, we assume, Ken has, if like Yahweh alluded to earlier, that red reboot play to hit the Shade Brigadine to stop the combo could possibly come in, depending if he decides that's the strategy he wants to go with. Also, the Draw and Lockbirds, I would assume, come in. Because
Yes.
it's a more Goki focused deck, rather than the normal Dark Warrior, which normally just draws cards.
Yeah, I believe that's all he can spare, really.
And would Daniel side anything going first, or would he just like his deck as optimal as possible, back to the way it was?
Going first, I think his deck is well made to do what it wants to do with its main deck, so he probably just unside.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think all his side deck cards are better off for going second.
Yeah, with Art of Atlantia, Reaper, Evenly Match, Reboot.
He might choose to leave Dweller in the extra deck, and he might find a disposable card in the extra deck to take out, have Dweller as an option against Thunder Dragons.
Getting ready here for game 3. So Daniel Peck shuffled up, and Ken will be soon. Having a bit more banter on the playing field,
It's good to see that they're both playing in good spirit.
as always.
See.
So all ready to go now. Again, we're assuming Daniel will be going first with his Roman Gonyad strategy, which normally like to go first. It'll be interesting to see if he can open the combo again, and if Ken can open any way to stop him. So here we go. 15 minutes. Should be plenty of time to get a result here in the third game.
It's interesting that neither deck play a card which Aqua Dolphin's the only card which could potentially do damage without the battle phase.
So we're seeing some hands now. So Ken has, once again, a lot of Thunder Dragon cards in hand.
Is a Thunder Dragon Fusion.
Is that a draw and lockbird?
Yes,
it is. So he's drawn one of his good hand traps.
Strong Lock, Thunder Dragon Fusion. I believe he has a Darker Batteryman
Oh,
Solar.
and Daniel has just set 2 and passed, so that is not the ideal opening.
His hand
I think he opened Malicious and a Junk Forward.
Ken opens with Batteryman Solar, which lets him send a Thunder Monster from his deck to the graveyard.
Did we see what Daniel's set card was by any chance?
I just missed it. I was looking at Ken's hand. He sent the Dragon Matrix.
So he's got Solar. So I think Daniel will be looking to draw, if he gets through this turn, draw some sort of way to discard that Malicious from his hand to be able to start comboing. But now with unsiding his deck, he may not have any outs to Colossus. So he could potentially be in trouble here.
Maybe he kept an evenly match. He might be able to foresee that he doesn't open Ideal and needs to be able to play. Maybe the set card's an evenly match.
Very much could potentially be.
They're
He's still thinking on what he wants to do now from Solar. So he's got the Matrix Engrave off the Solar effect. He's going to activate Monster Reborn.
Wow.
Not long off the limited and banned list.
Forbidden and limited list.
Correct.
This will trigger Batteryman Solar's effect to summon a token.
They're going to put that token face up. Yep, very good. So this potentially lets him be able to link into some Summoner, which is a newer card from Soul Fusion, which requires 2 Thunder-type monsters to summon it.
Yep, Ken's going through it. He's picked it out as some Summoner.
There it is. And
That's a
then
handful.
he can trigger his Matrix effect right now to search another copy of Matrix.
And this will open 2 zones for him to summon multiple Colossus or Titans.
And he also still has a Thunder Dragon Hawk in hand as well, so
And he has the the Fusion.
things are not looking good for Daniel right now.
Yep.
With that T set, essentially, which you wouldn't T set anymore because of the Mech Knights.
You can see look on his face.
Yeah, he's definitely not happy with how that opened. So
Oh,
I'm not sure he can do that yet because he has not activated the Thunder Dragon hand effect. So quickly pulled himself up before he made a very bad mistake.
Yep.
So he's going to activate the Dragon Dark to add another copy of Dragon Dark to hand. And Dan was thinking there, so obviously he may have Call by the Grave set, or he may have just been thinking to make his opponent think more about his plays.
there might be a line where Ken just wants to summon 4 fusions and just attack for 8,000 damage.
Well, does Ken have access to Summon Sorceress? He does, so that gives him the opportunity to be able to make that play. He also has Borrello Dragon. He has the Dreadnought Rail Max Cannon Gustav Max.
Wow, that's wild. That does it.
So he could potentially just make 2 Titans and do 2k more damage after this. Because he has the other Thunder in hand to make Colossus into another Titan. And the Fusion spell.
Have to keep in mind that's a Call by the Grave.
So that's very helpful for Daniel there. Keeps him possibly in the game. But that Thunder Dragon Fusion hard drawn in the hand is going to be very good for Ken.
And very unfortunate for Daniel. He's thinking about it. Maybe he has another line that's better. He is giving this some serious thought.
He's really thinking about it. He's probably calculating if he can end the game this turn. As against this deck, you probably want to end it as fast as possible. Otherwise, they may be able to make Roman Gonyad afterwards.
Yeah.
Colossus, once again, is a very oppressive card against a deck like this with Gokis in it.
Yep. As we can see the Titan, and he's returning the Hawk, the Dark, and the Raw?
He was the Matrix.
No, the Matrix.
So he's still got. So now his hand is Matrix Dark with a Titan on the field.
And he has a Thunder Dragon Fusion to be able to search next turn.
So things are looking very good for Ken here after getting blown out game 1 and then game 2 played through with a lot of Thunder Dragons. And now game 3, unfortunately for Daniel, he did not open very well. But Ken has opened very well with Monster Reborn and the Fusion, Hawk, Solar, all the best cards in his deck, as I believe. So here it is, the other Colossus, because some Summoner is also a Thunder type monster, which is very convenient to be able to make it into a Colossus once you've used a hand effect.
Or does he? He does, in fact, have a hand effect to be able to clear that monster. And
He's used both effects this turn,
oh,
unfortunately.
does he? Oh,
But he's going to attack, so jump forward. So Daniel will not be losing all of his life points this turn. He'll just be taking a swift 5,800.
he's looking down at 2 Colossus and a
So-
Titan.
He honestly has to have the evenly match that we talked about earlier. Otherwise, this could be a problem because there's a draw and lock bird in hand and 2 thunder effects for Titan to activate. So, doing some quick math here. Well, 26 and 32 is 58.
Yeah, leaving him on 22. There is 9 minutes on the clock. Not only does Daniel have to play through a field of 2 Colossus and a Titan, he has to play against the clock.
See if he can do it. So I think that's the end of Ken's turn. He's thinking. But he also has a draw and lock bird in hand, both pops on Titan.
He drew a near space connector along with.
So if he had had that last turn, it would have been a bit different. So he's going to activate the connector's effect, and Ken's going to read or ask what it does.
He's deciding
And-
whether or not using Titan's effect now is ideal.
So I think we may see a pause here for Ken to decide what he wants to do, as he does have 2 interruptions with Titan. But the Aqua Dolphin now discarding the Malicious to hit a Matrix and burn for 500. So that's one of Titan's effects gone.
Yeah, and that's a draw and lock bet out of Ken's hand as well, which would have been ideal to stop Daniel from searching. But he does have the Colossus. Out comes Isolde.
So Assault will activate, probably not only its second effect, obviously, because it can't search because of Colossus being on the field. So with 8 minutes to go, he's going to send two equip
Daniel
spells.
discarded the Matrix so that he can't use Titan.
Correct, that's what I was saying. Yeah,
Oh,
he
yeah,
lost one of
sorry.
his Titan's effects thanks to Aqua Dolphin. Dan is going to send 3 equip spells. I believe he may have been trying to send 4, but then just realized that there's only 3 in his deck, or he's got another plan. So he's going to Chain Dark to search and not activate Titan's effect. Interesting play. Yep. I think Dan may have just been clarifying there that he wasn't chaining anything. And once again, some of Ken's cards are upside down, so once he's siding, he changes that.
Oh, he does indicate that.
And I think Daniel's now saying that you didn't activate Titan in response to the Dark, and I think Ken may have made a slight mistake there, unfortunately.
Oh.
He still has the draw and lockbird.
Well, Daniel might just find a way to be able to win this.
Those 1% you were talking about last round,
Yeah, it
that if you just stay in the game and keep playing,
was actually this round.
yeah, it was this round actually, earlier on. So they're now discussing it now with the judge. The judge is explaining the situation to Ken, why he can't activate that Titan's effect. So do you reckon Dan just goes for Borrowload here, if he can? Because he's got Malicious engraved now.
He is still going against the clock with 7 minutes on it. He has to figure out a way to be able to deal damage to all these guys, especially because they all have protection effects, so he's not going to be... Ken's not taking too much damage.
And good for Dan here. He's decided to summon the Phantom Knight Silent Boots. So he'll be able to add Fogblade for next turn itself and another Colossus if he clears one with Borrowload right now.
I'm not sure how good Daniel is at playing under pressure.
7 minutes.
It's good to see. Ken
we
learning
shall
a
see.
very valuable lesson about his monsters. Better to learn now in round 2 than, say, round 9 when you're playing where you have to win.
So Daniel's still thinking here, which he may want to do a bit quicker.
Ken does have the Thunder Dragon Fusion in his graveyard. He's not in
Correct.
an awful position.
But if Daniel takes a Colossus here, he can't activate it.
Yes.
So now he's making the Titan weaker, so it has no chance to attack over Borrowload next turn.
Ooh.
And Ken's just going to read this Borrowload Dragon. Cut Dan's deck. So down to 6 minutes 40 now. He's reading the Borrowload. So Daniel's options here are probably you take the Colossus on the main monster zone, locking his extra deck zone still. And then he's going to add Fogblade and potentially Phoenix Blade to his hand.
Yep.
And hopefully he can stay in enough to have another turn at this, because
He's making sure that Borrowload, I believe, cannot be destroyed by card effects.
can't be targeted by monster effects.
Oh, right.
So
And Borrowload's the one that... Borrowsword can't be destroyed by battle. Yeah.
yes, so Titan's effect can actually destroy Borrowload, but Borrowload's
Ooh.
effect can chain to Titan to make it not be able to activate. So very interesting. So Dan is going to keep going here as he has DDR to summon the Dolphin back. So he's going to take out another card in his opponent's hand.
The Droll and Lockbird that he knew of. And that deals another 500, which helps
Or
him...
do you think he just takes the Dragon Dark away?
Ooh.
leave him just a droll, and he can't add if he takes a Colossus.
Yes, that is an
So
avenue.
the only downside here is that Daniel is running out of time, but he is doing slight damage with the Aqua Dolphin, so it's getting in there.
I believe Ken can just switch his monster defense position, and
It's true. So he's going to take that Colossus, and then do you crash the other Colossus and hope his opponent makes a mistake? Or force an effect? Or you have to leave it on the field, sorry. You have to leave the one that he used. Otherwise, he's going to be able to add off fusion next turn. So Dan has one card left in hand, and he still has a Silent Boots engraved to add Fog Blade. So he'll be able to stop the Colossus and turn it off next turn to be able to search.
Yep.
But with 5 minutes left on the clock, it'll be interesting what he does here. So Dan has decided not to search the Fog Blade. Instead, his opponent draws a Batteryman Solar.
he has a fusion in his graveyard that he cannot use. Ken's going to think this through.
Unfortunately for Daniel, the longer he takes to think this through, the less time he has to be able to do damage next turn. So pressure situation here. It'll be interesting to see how the players react to this, as it's always different when you're in there. He's looking at that fusion in his grave. I'm not sure if he realizes he can't use it.
But it's definitely one of the options he's keeping on his mind in case he finds a way to remove the Colossus. Borrowload can use its effect again to decrease a monster's attack by 500 to protect the Colossus from being destroyed by battle. As Daniel shouldn't have any Thunder monsters in his graveyard to protect the Colossus.
Funny if he did. Like somehow had another one just to tech it in the side deck if this situation comes up. So he's trying to add, and then quickly tells him that the Colossus makes that impossible. So Ken is now going to go into the battle phase, by the looks of it, looking at his Titan, or the Colossus, or the Titan. He's
going to make sure he's got this right.
So he has declared an attack on the Colossus with the Titan. And Daniel's probably thinking if he has anything in hand that could potentially chain to the Borrowload's effect, but you can't actually chain to the Borrowload's effect. So
he's decreasing
the Titan, which can be destroyed by battle. So Ken is going to take more damage now.
Doesn't it protect itself when it's
Only destroyed by card effects. Titan, Colossus is both.
And Titan has 2200 attack. He will take 400 damage.
So Titan will go to grave and be taking 400 damage for Ken with 3.5 minutes left on the clock. And the Colossus here will probably crash to the other one.
Oh, he's attacking it with
so he's decided to destroy the Dolphin to stop any more burn damage to the Draw and Lockbird stays, potentially.
The Draw and Lockbird still in his hand might be crucial in helping Ken reach that end game. He might be able to.
If Ken fails to get another monster on the field this turn, though, he will just be attacked for damage. But I don't know if Daniel can put enough on the board in his last turn.
Ken can always just set a monster, right?
It's very true. So he's decided not to. He's ended his turn instead. Daniel picks up
Goki rematch.
Rematch. Whoa, and Cobra in hand. So this Borrowload can take the Colossus and attack for, is that, how much is Cobra? 16? So that's 4,200.
4,200.
That puts him 200 behind. 2 minutes 47 on the clock.
That does close out the life points. If Ken doesn't have any plays, he'll be forced to end his turn, and Daniel will be able to come back.
And once again, Daniel has taken a Colossus, so he can't do that. And drawing a Ghost Ogre is not the best card for Ken, so this game has turned big time with Daniel Peck making a Borrowload Dragon and just switching the whole momentum of the game.
I think at the point where last turn, if Ken set a monster to be able to block the attack,
it could have been enough.
It might just have been enough.
At least both players are still playing at a reasonable pace, so 2 minutes 20 on the clock. There's no sign of anyone trying to not play the pace, so he's going to activate his Solar Effect.
He still can't use that fusion.
The fusion, the powerful Thunder Dragon fusion stuck in the graveyard. Still unable to be used. And Ken's just stuck with 2 hand traps now against the board of Borrowload Dragon, Colossus, and Cobra concedes. So great game. Well played by both players. Well done, Daniel Peck, getting out of that one.
Oh, man. He was playing from the back foot the whole time. He was playing against the clock.
Just proves your point about just keep playing.
He kept calm. He kept composed.
Played very well under pressure, considering his opening play was set a monster and set Core by the grave.
Yeah.
So very well played. Well done in that feature match. Lucky we got a second feature match for the round. So
yeah. So we'll cut off to some interviews in a bit. I think you can do Bradley, and I'll talk to Daniel.
So hopefully we have Brad on standby still, so we can get him from the previous feature match. That unfortunately, if you missed that one, it was ABC versus Altergeist, where ABC got up.
Yeah.
And a very interesting game. And once again, we had 2 different decks again. The second time we're seeing Thunder Dragon, but a different version.
Yeah.
And the first time we're seeing the Dark Warrior deck / the Goki Warrior deck.
Very interesting that all these decks not only are their own archetype, but they can be built in different ways to adapt to different strategies and be able to have different matchup.
Very true. So hopefully we get Brad in here soon. Not sure how long is left in the round, if there's only 2 minutes left on the clock there, if the feature match was running on the same time. But yeah, just the Borrelo Dragon just got there.
Yeah.
It's always been very powerful ever since its release around Spiral format back in 2018 or
that
17.
swing back and forth, man.
Just taking those Colossus. So we have Brad coming in for your interview now. So unfortunately, I'll have to say goodbye to Yahweh for a second.
No, see
And
you
then
soon.
after that, he'll be back. So. So welcome back to YCS Sydney once again. We're here with the previous feature match winner, Daniel Peck.
Hey.
How was that?
Yeah, it was pretty stressful opening Mali twice and
That game wasn't the ideal, though, that game 3 how you went through it.
opening 3 equips in game 2. That always is interesting.
Like, I don't know if you know what his hand was, but in game 2 he had a lot of Thunder Dragon cards,
Yeah.
like multiples, Matrix, Darks, everything. We're looking at it going, oh, this game could go any way. But Borrelo Dragon, your new favorite card?
Orlo Dragon is very good. I'm very glad I'm siding that card.
So what made you decide to play this Goki version of Warrior deck? We haven't seen much of it going around, and the 45 card deck seems very powerful. Obviously, didn't open great that game, but you
Yeah.
found a way to win. So how do you find it? What made you decide to play this deck?
So the reason I'm playing Goki instead of just straight Dark Warrior is the Dark Warrior kind of has to be 60.
Yes.
And this version just has Goki Rematch, which is an insane card. You do your full Gunblood combo, not Gunblood, 86.
Yep,
You end
yep.
on 6 material or 5 material, and then you just rematch them next turn, summon back 2, make a link 2, search 2, summon 2. Most of the time you have 12k damage.
The big issue that the normal Warrior deck has is it just can't push for damage next turn, and then the Romaganya is just attacking for 3k instead of going for game. But in your deck, it seems that with the Goki rematches, it gives you more access to clear
Yeah.
boards with the Nightmares and go for game every time.
It gives you, basically means you don't have Mare in hand, so you don't just not have Yazi. Like, I know the Dark Warrior can play with Mare in hand, but it's a lot more consistent in my opinion.
Yeah. And I noticed that you had Bryanak in your extra deck, as
Yeah.
well as some copies of Destrudo and some other
Yep.
stuff like that. So that's similar to what the other 60 card decks do, but you started to put in anyway. Is that
Yeah.
just for the Thunder Dragon
So
matchup? Or?
Brio is mainly for Thunder, just to summon up, get Knight off Isold, send Destrudo, make Brio, bounce all their monsters, make Barrel Sword, attack for 86.
Which is what I think you wanted to do game 2.
Yeah,
but
which is what I
unfortunately
wanted to do,
wasn't-
but open
wasn't
3
happening.
equips, and so...
So I assume you went back. You started your deck back to normal for game 3.
Yeah,
and just
definitely.
got unfortunate
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
but yeah. But yeah, no, very well played. I played through a lot there, considering you were on the back foot literally the whole game, and time was against you as well. I'm not sure if you knew
I
that.
had 2 minutes left in that last game, and I was
Very
making
good.
sure that I was down, I was on 2-2 or something?
Yeah,
And it was just
200 points damage with 2 minutes to go.
Yeah,
Well, like,
yeah.
here we go, it's happening. So how was your travel down
yeah,
from
good,
Queensland?
good.
Yeah,
The flight was just weirdly short.
yeah. Well, it's a 1 hour
Yeah,
flight. It's just,
yeah.
yeah,
It
daylight
just
savings make
didn't
it
feel
seem
like
longer.
an hour at all.
Yeah, so that's so. What do you think of the event? First time
Yeah.
YCS in Australia? Or
Second
time?
YCS
Second
now.
time, yeah.
Yeah.
So you played the one last year, I
Yeah.
believe. So what decks do you expect to see in the top cut?
Well, I'm assuming that most of the top card will be Striker and Thunder, and then Geist and the different versions of 86 decks with some Rogue mixed in because it's an Australian YCS.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you're looking for it now. You're down 2-0. Looking forward for that one. So with this deck, what made you decide against this over the 60? Apart from just the Goki stuff, did you want to play 45? Did you
I wanted
mind
to
the
get
60?
as close to
or-
40 as possible because if you're playing 60, you're just not going to see Call by the Grave. You're not going to see Midbreaker. It's a lot harder to play through hand traps without those cards, and having 45 makes it a lot easier to see them.
Very true. And how'd you come up with this deck? Is it all by yourself? Very good.
I saw some things online and then just messed around with it more, and then decided that Brio is broken, so I decided to play it.
So it's very different to the normal ones, as we said.
Yeah.
How long have you played for now?
Since Stardust came out, I think, and then I started playing seriously around the Zoo format.
Yeah. So what was your favorite format so far that you've played in? That's a fair well time being back in Synchro
I'd
format.
say I enjoyed Zoo. I
Zoo
don't know.
format?
Zoo was a
Which
weird format.
Which version? The one before or after
Uh,
Links?
Yeah, I really enjoyed Metal Foe Zoo. Metal Foe Zoo was a fun deck.
Yeah.
Not for everybody else, but for me playing it was.
So a random question. So if you had to do a 3v3 tournament,
Yeah.
and you entered the event like Atlanta is coming up,
Yeah.
and you had to pick 2 anime characters from Yu-Gi-Oh to be your tag team partners, who
Yeah.
would you pick and why?
I'd probably pick Jaden and Yusei, just because 5D is my favorite anime, and Jaden's my favorite. I just love the elemental heroes.
So no strategy involved. You just want them to because
Yeah.
they're cool. Like,
Yeah.
you don't want Pegasus in the middle so we can look at their cards. Something like that. No, that's all good. So well done. Congratulations.
thank you.
Good luck in your next round.
Have fun.
So
Conte.
yeah, so hopefully we can get in Brad shortly, and yeah, so well done. Yep. So cool. Thank you very much.